Okay, we're live, guys.
Switch on the cameras.
Yep, let's all switch on our camera. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Grandstream and Cohesive Technologies collaborative webinar. So this webinar, we're going to be focusing on Grandstream's networking solution, and this is being done in honor of Grandstream's 20th anniversary. So firstly, let me introduce you to our two panelists of the evening. We have Hieu, who's the Director of Support for North America and Asia Pacific for Grandstream Networks. He's been with Grandstream Networks now for over 15 years and has played a pivotal role in getting Grandstream to the place it is today. And we also have Ashdhir Kinra, who's the CEO and founder of Cohesive Technologies, a global telecom provider based out of Delhi, India. Ashdhir has been associated with Grandstream for well over a decade now and has played a pivotal role in growing Grandstream in India and getting Grandstream to where it is now. And he's also been making significant strides in the networking space. So Hieu and Ashdhir, thank you so much for joining us today. So to give everybody a little bit of an intro of what they can expect in today's webinar, Ashdhir and Hieu are going to be covering a wide range of topics, specifically related to our networking solutions. Grandstream has been making significant strides in the networking space, especially in the last few years. And they've done this by adopting the latest technologies and keeping up with the latest trends in this space. They're going to be diving into a wide range of topics, such as the latest Wi-Fi 6 technology, Wi-Fi cloud management, hybrid Wi-Fi access points, and also discuss our latest products. And Hieu will be sharing the 2022 networking roadmap as well. And Hieu will also be sharing a few products on screen for you guys to see. So once Hieu and Ashdhir complete that discussion, they will also be answering certain questions anyone may have. As you guys can see on the bottom right corner, there's the letter Q there. So if you guys just click that, you can input any question that you have. And Hieu and Ashdhir will be answering those once they are done with their discussion. And lastly, guys, we're going to be having a bit of a contest going on as well. So basically, if anybody has any question, we would like you guys to input it into the question and answer box. And it should be relevant to what Hieu and Ashdhir are discussing. So whoever puts a question in, we're going to note down your name. And then we're going to pick a random winner after the webinar who will be getting an access point and certain marketing materials from Grandstream. So with that, Hieu and Ashdhir, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Ashit. So nice of you. Hi, friends. This is Ashdhir, and Hieu. Will you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Ashrith, for the wonderful intro. That's the nicest thing that someone has said about me in a long time. Hi, everyone. My name is Hieu. I'm the Director of Support for Grandstream. I see a lot of familiar names in the attendance list. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and nice to see everyone again.
Thank you. Very good evening, and namaskar to everyone. This is Ashdhir. So without wasting time, Hieu, let's start something interesting for all our friends who are there in the with us on this webinar. So a very basic question to start with, Hieu. We Cohesive as a company is associated with Grandstream for last 1 decade. Okay. And Grandstream was always a telecom company, Grandstream means telecom numero uno, the number one. So what was the reason, out of the blue, you guys thought, let's go into the networking? And not only going into the networking, you became successful in a very short time. You means we became successful. I'm very happy about it. But what strategy, what dreams you had in your mind, so you swapped it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Actually, that's a question that people wonder in their minds all the time. Grandstream now has been in the networking space for about 4 years now. That's the first time that we released our access points was about 4 years ago. And from day one until now, people always ask that question, why networking? And it really just comes down to Grandstream's mission statement, which is connecting the world. You know,
Yeah.
Grandstream has a history of not making products, but making solutions. And our goal is to make sure that everything that we make works together with everything else that we already have. And as Wi-Fi starts getting more and more popular, you started seeing Wi-Fi on desk phones, and then you started seeing Wi-Fi phones. It was just a clear indication on the next step for what Grandstream needs to do, is to have a technology that brings all of our solutions together. And that was, one of the main reasons why we started in the Wi-Fi space. I guess the other reason, unofficially, is probably because of monetary reasons. The the IP phone market size is very
Yeah.
big. It's about, I believe the recent studies show that it's a $2.31 billion industry,
Right.
expected to grow up to about 7.35 billion by 2030. But if you compare that to the enterprise networking market size, that's at 50.1 billion. So it's about 25 times as big as the IP phone market. And, of course, this is my opinion, not Grandstream's opinion. But
No,
my
no, no,
opinion
no.
is that,
You're very
my
right.
opinion, yeah. Yeah, my opinion is that if all of us can get just a small piece of that pie, that piece of pie is bigger than what we currently have in the IP phone market. So I think that's another very big reason and why we entered into this market.
Perfectly fine, because everyone wants to paint on a bigger canvas. And not only Grandstream made a benefit out of it, but everyone in the sales cycle enjoyed everything, not only to top line, bottom line, as well as reach. So good for all of us. Okay, now coming straight to the technology, because that's your and mine passion. Okay. Now, in a very, very layman language, I don't want to go deep in technology because salespeople are generally not made for that. If I ask you a basic question that what is this Wi-Fi 4, then we switch to Wi-Fi 5, then we switch to Wi-Fi 6, the latest what we guys launched, and now already we are hearing something on 6E. Okay, so if you want to explain to the salespeople, those 200 guys in this group, that what does these three terms means, can you just please explain us?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll try not to be too technical, even though that's our passion and that's what we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
But to put it simply, Wi-Fi is a technology that evolves with human patterns. For example, Wi-Fi 5 or 802.11 AC, that was released back in 2014, so quite some time ago, almost 10 years ago. And it was released for the need at that time. Wi-Fi 6, which is one of the newer technologies, was released in 2019 based on human patterns at that time. And really the difference is the ability to provide consistent wireless access to the number of clients that are using it, right? So in 2014, Wi-Fi was popular, but not as popular as it is today. In 2014, I don't believe I had a microwave that had Wi-Fi capability at that time.
Yeah.
But nowadays, everything in your home is Wi-Fi. All of the IoT devices, all of your appliances. My refrigerator is connected to my Wi-Fi network. So basically, the difference now compared to back in the days is that you have a lot more Wi-Fi devices in use at any single time. And so one of the main differences between Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5, for example, is that Wi-Fi 6 was specifically designed for high density environments, which means
Right.
it was specifically designed
Mm.
for a lot of Wi-Fi connections. And there's a lot of technology behind that. You're going to hear a lot of terms like OFDMA and BSS coloring, and those are just the tools that they've used to make it possible. And so those are really the main differences. It's just, when it comes down to Wi-Fi 6E that's coming up later this year, again, it was designed based on the use patterns of human evolution. And you'll see that coming up on our roadmap as well.
Okay, I think you are very right, very, very right. Whatever I have basic knowledge, concurrent devices, high density, people are switching to Wi-Fi 6. I think throughput is also one of the reason. Am I right, Hugh?
Absolutely, yeah. As the technology evolves, the throughput increases. It's streaming media these days, for example, is probably one of the main drivers for the throughput increase. I think throughout the world, you see this switch from watching TV through a radio antenna over to cable television that's run through an RJ6 cable. And then now a lot of people are I guess they call it cutting the cable and streaming everything. At any one time in my household, you have, my two daughters streaming something separately. My wife is streaming a different TV show. I'm streaming webinars. There's always,
right.
there's always a lot of streaming going on at the same time.
Very
And,
practical. Yeah.
Absolutely. And with newer technology, you see that throughput increase, not just for streaming, but for multiple clients streaming at the same time. Is the main thing. Yeah.
So I just for a minute escalate you one to the technology level. You use some terms called OFDM, OFDMA, BSS.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's typical, very high technology, but Grandstream salespeople have a tinge to learn technology. So if you want to just put in some focus on these 2-3 words, what are these?
Sure, absolutely. OFDMA is a way that Wi-Fi 6 technology breaks down the individual signals that it sends out to the different clients. So instead of sending, say, and it's all based on size, instead of sending a large package, I guess, it breaks it down into a bunch of tiny little packages and sends it out to all the different clients at the same time. And it's just a different way of splitting up those packages. And so Wi-Fi 6 has that new algorithm compared to Wi-Fi 5, for example, in sending these different packages out at different timings. BSS coloring is a great tool that Wi-Fi 6 has implemented to really combat the signal interference with other access points. Everyone knows, just even the basic on the Wi-Fi, even if you're installing a Wi-Fi router at home, that, you select different channels. Some channels are better than others. And BSS coloring really helps to automatically or to intelligently select channels, as well as select channels compared to the environment around it, to prevent the interference.
So if I will like to translate into sales language, what you intend to say is that this OFDM, which is a Wi-Fi 5, used to transmit the signals into different channels, which used to go to the destination, the clients, and OFDMA are sub carriers in the channel, which transmits to the client, and BSS helps us put those colors on those sub carriers so that it reaches the right destination.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, really, what both of these technologies do is make the Wi-Fi signal or connection much more efficient and much more stable for the end user at the end of the day. That's what it was designed for. And one of the the major differences that these technologies create is compared from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 5 is in Wi-Fi 5 there's the 2.4 gigahertz channel and the 5 gigahertz channel. The newer Wi-Fi technology was only available on the 5 gigahertz frequency, whereas in Wi-Fi 6 it brings all of this technology not just to the 5 gigahertz frequency but also to the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So you'll be seeing a huge increase or in quality and performance in Wi-Fi 6 for both frequencies instead of just the 5 gigahertz frequency on Wi-Fi 5.
Right. I think last week when I was discussing with you, you also told me that in a Wi-Fi 5, in a MU MIMO, the uploading is not possible, but in Wi-Fi 6, uploading and downloading both works.
Correct. Yeah. With Wi-Fi 5, it introduced MU MIMO on 802.11 AC Wave 2, which basically, if you read out the acronym, it's multi-user, multiple input, multiple output, which means that multiple users are able to have multiple signals at the same time. So it makes the performance better for not just a single client, but for multiple clients at the same time. And that technology was introduced in Wave 2. And unfortunately, it was only available for the downloading portion. So if you look at the flow of data, it's from the access point to the wireless client. With Wi-Fi 6, the MU MIMO technology is now available for download and upload. So both ways of the transaction, you'll be able to reap the benefits of multi-user MIMO.
Perfect. Good. Now coming back down to sales language, there are some APs written 2 by 2, then colon 2, then 4 by 4 and colon 4, 3 by 3, colon 3. What does it all mean? What does this term mean? What does it show?
So in technical terms, those are the number of spatial streams that are available. But typically, not always, but very often, those also, I guess you can correlate them to the number of antennas that are available in an access point, right? So if you look at a 2 by 2, it will typically have 2 antennas for sending data and 2 antennas for receiving data. And the same goes for a 4 by 4, 4 antennas for sending data and 4 antennas for receiving data. Now, of course, that's not always the case, but that typically is the case. And when it comes down to, when you relate that to multi-user MIMO, it typically means those are the number of users that can be served at the same time, right? So if you look at a non-MIMO type environment and you have 5 clients that are connected, in a regular Wi-Fi environment, the wireless access point would serve those 5 clients one by one, and it would take turns, right? It will send data to client 1 and then send data to client 2 and then send data to client 3. So it takes turns, but it goes really, really fast. Obviously, you can't see it. When it comes down to MIMO and say, for example, a 2 by 2, what the AP is now able to do is it's able to send data to 2 clients at the same time. So in this particular example, the AP will send data to clients 1 and 2 at the same time, and then it'll send data to client 3 and 4, and then so on and so forth, and it goes around and around. Same with the 4 by 4. You do 4 at the same time, and so the more spatial streams that you have, and the more concurrent clients that you serve at the same time, it just speeds up the whole process of the data that needs to be transmitted or received.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. One thing more onto the APs of our product range we have. We recently launched some hybrid APs. Okay. And what does this term hybrid AP means to a person like me, who's a pure sales guy? And why did And why did Grandstream launch the hybrid AP when everything was working fine with our 7.6 Wi-Fi 5s and Wi-Fi 6 series? What was the
Sure. Oh
reason of
no.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah, that's you know, with the hybrid access points, what we mean when we use the term hybrid is, you know, back to the spatial streams, right? You know, every one of our APs right now are dual band, meaning they have the 2.4 gigahertz frequency and the 5 gigahertz frequency. And typically on our access points, when we say 2x2 or 4x4, it means, you know, for example, 4x4 on both frequencies. Now we noticed that in real life, most people are using 5 gigahertz more than they are using 2.4 gigahertz. That's just
Right.
today, you know,
Yeah.
especially for high data situations like streaming or doing webinars, right? Just because it's less, everyone knows it's basic knowledge that 5 gigahertz is a much cleaner spectrum, less interference, and it's faster data rate. But we noticed that there are still a lot of devices on the market that are using purely 2.4 gigahertz. And if you look at it, it's mainly IoT devices, your smart devices. They typically only use 2.4 for a couple of reasons. Number one is it has better range than the 5 gigahertz frequency. And number two, these IoT devices, these smart devices don't require a lot of bandwidth. You know, it's
Right.
just small data being
Right.
sent here and there. And so we figured, you know, in order to have, you know, a very competitive cost benefit, it would be probably good to not use a full, say, for example, 4x4 on the 2.4 gigahertz if no one's going to use it anyways. And so the reason why we came up with the hybrid access point is really to narrow that bridge gap, narrow that price gap to make the access points more affordable. So if you look at our GWN 7625, which is our hybrid indoor access point, it has 4x4 on the 5 gigahertz frequency, but it has a 2x2 on the 2.4, which is more than enough for most people in the real world. But what it allows all of us to do is have an access point that is closer to the price point of a 2x2. So it makes it much more affordable because, you know, at the end of the day, people don't want to pay for what they don't use.
So does it mean this 7625 has 6 antennas practically?
Yeah, practically, yeah. You know,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
you know, that's why I said earlier that it doesn't always correlate to the antennas, but most of the time it does.
Okay. Good. Okay. Whenever I go to the field and I try to sell Grandstream products, one of the biggest USP, I get is about our controllers. Okay. And I just wanted you to put some light on what type of controllers we have. Okay. And how are we edging above? And what is the USP of the controller, basically the strength of our types of controller we guys carry.
Sure, absolutely. That's a perfect question. I think, you know, in terms of USP, the flexibility in controller options that Grandstream has is probably our strongest point. You know, Grandstream is probably the only brand that gives you multiple different options in terms of how to manage your access points. We'll start off with the embedded controller. You know, that's something that we started with, where every single access point has controller capability so that you can manage anywhere from 30 to 50 other Grandstream access points just right off of the web interface. You know, you don't need to install a separate controller appliance. You don't need to have a virtual machine. You don't have to install any software on your computer. It's all included, so it makes for a very clean installation especially for those scenarios where you have anywhere between 30 to 50 access points. The other option that we have is the Gwn Cloud, which is our cloud-based controller. At this point, probably the most popular option for Grandstream. And with the cloud controller, a couple of key benefits is that it's completely on the cloud. It's operated off of the Amazon AWS platform. So you take all of that inherent reliability from the AWS platform, and now you have that same type of reliability on our cloud platform. It allows you to remotely manage all of your access points from anywhere that you have internet access. So all of you IT professionals on here, all of you on the attendance list that manage networks, this makes it a lot easier because you don't have to worry about port forwarding or VPNing into an enterprise environment in order to manage it. Just anywhere that you have internet access, you'll be able to access, manage, and monitor all of your access points. The number one benefit on our cloud-based controller is that it's completely free, and it allows you virtually unlimited access points that you can manage. And I mention that because a lot of our competitors out there, they may or may not have a free option for their controller, their cloud-based controller, but there's a limit on how many access points that you can manage for free. Once you reach a certain limit, then it becomes a subscription-based model. So you have to pay a certain amount on a monthly or yearly basis in order to manage more access points. And I specifically mentioned this because on our Gwn Cloud, especially for the MSPs out there that manage these wireless networks for your clients, we built our Gwn Cloud platform to basically have multi-tenant capability. So you can technically use, and a lot of service providers out there do this with our platform, use the Gwn.Cloud platform as a platform to manage all of their customers. You can create different networks for different customers, and then you can even create user accounts for your customers so that they can log in and make specific changes or view certain statuses only for their particular network. So that's a very, very powerful tool. And lastly, we do have the Gwn Manager, which is basically the Gwn Cloud, but packaged in a software form so that you can install that on your own infrastructure. I know a lot of organizations have different security policies. If you think about government or financial institutions, they like to have full control over all aspects of the infrastructure, including the security. So with the Gwn Manager, they can install that on their own infrastructure, manage it on their own. I think probably the biggest benefit of Gwn Manager, in my opinion, is the way that it's built. It's built in a modular fashion so that you can update it with additional features that are not generally available on Gwn Cloud via a module. So you don't have to reinstall the whole system. We can send you a modular package that you can add on to your system very easily. And changes on Gwn Manager typically take a lot faster than Gwn Cloud for us, because with Gwn Cloud, every single change that we make on it affects everyone globally, whereas Gwn Manager, it only affects that particular instance. So we're a little bit more flexible on additions and changes for Gwn Manager. Yeah, sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
No. Good. See, thank you, Hugh, because we started with your telecom company, then we spoke about the different Wi-Fi technologies, then how to transmit those packets. We spoke about some technology over to cloud management, controllers. Now, before I ask you two questions, you can club it because I will not like to bother you in between. I want to ask you to show us a user dashboard, the UI of the AP access point, on a single view to a layman. What does it show? And second thing, closing it with the roadmap of Grandstream, okay, on the networking products. And I also heard there are a lot of new products coming up in telephony as well. So I will request you to please take these two questions together, and all over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I would love to answer those questions, and I will. But no, I feel like this is kind of a one-way conversation, so I do want to make it a two-way conversation. But I have some questions for you, Ashdhir.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So I know, Cohesive and Grandstream has been working together for a very, very long time. I believe I had the pleasure of working with you before the inception of Cohesive, before Cohesive was
Right.
born. We were able
Yeah.
to work together. So I'm very
Yeah.
blessed to be a part of that.
No.
And and as we embark on this journey on the GWN side, as a networking side, one of our more successful partners has been Cohesive. And so, for me, I'm just curious, and I'm sure a lot of our attendees are curious, what is it that Cohesive is doing to be doing very well in networking? Are there any secrets to your success?
No. I will be very, very open so that, and we try to be transparent. Now, I was not knowing about networking. I was not knowing the, okay, not the single alphabet. You guys made me learn what networking. For last 2 decades, I used to have an experience of telecom, and I'm good in telecom. And let me be very candid and clear about it. First couple of months, you guys were behind my life. We didn't focus on networking. And once we learned it, and thanks to the external forces, where the chipset inventory issues came in, then we learned the technology. And believe me, Hugh, as a sales guy, I have only 4 or 5 things to talk when I go to the customer. Okay. One is concurrent users. I have not seen a Wi-Fi access point today on a Wi-Fi 6 which has 700 plus concurrent users. That talks of technology and stability. That's talk of the chipset Qualcomm we use vis-a-vis MTech, which other competition does. We, as you said, we are full-blown Wi-Fi 6 on both radios. Okay. That is one of the greatest USPs. People don't know about it. The buyer needs to be guided and informed it. As you said rightly, 80% of the competition is using Wi-Fi 6 only on 5 gigahertz, as what we are doing for hybrid now. Okay. The third USP which I use, and I will like my friends to use in this webinar, is the ACE is called controller. Any competition, without naming it, people are smart enough to understand the competition. They don't have controllers either in terms of hardware. If they have hardware based controllers, they have some other capabilities at a very high price. This embedded controller in the access point up to 50 APs working in master and slave mode is the USP. It handles 60% of SME customers. Okay. And the USPs which you told us on the cloud, the co-tenancy and managing all the customers is like cherry on the cake. And just a month back, you gave the last dent in sale, which is 3-year warranty on all our networking products. That was one thing which was missing out, and we actually killed that. Okay. And the best part is a hidden thing which I have not told: the adaptability of Grandstream. Okay. And I'm not saying because you guys are there. I'm a very straightforward and flat person. You know that. I remember thousands of cases, not only for networking. I'm talking of decade cases in telephony as well. You guys genuinely are adaptable and flexible to the customer need. Your eyes and ears are open. We might talk crap and we come to you for some stupid customization, but you still hear it us patiently and try to find out the way out. And this is the uniqueness. It is a proof. I'm not saying just to be a part of this, giving a dent out over here in this communication. I think everyone there in the webinar can see that every 2 months or 3 months we launch a new product. We means I always treat Grandstream as part of my own company. We are one family. Okay. So that is the secret recipe. You told me to open it up. It was like KFC chicken, which you made me open this recipe today. And but if we just talk about and we are confident about it, what we guys do, I think no one can pick up the deal. And I had seen the conversion ratios of P's to O, but prospects or potentials to orders are great, beautiful. So that's a secret recipe which we work on. And most important, very, very important today, very, very important are the partners who are with us right now in this webinar. They are loyal, they're committed, they're ethical. We work with them day in, day out, and sink and swim together. So thanks to everyone. If you guys are all there with me, all your ears are there, my full gratitude, and thanks to everyone who's there in this webinar for being with us. Yes, you, I think I replied your question.
Yeah, actually, that's it's a testament to your greatness, because I had 3 questions to ask you, but you answered all of them at the same time, almost like you knew what I was going to ask you. So that's, but that's typical Ashdhir fashion, always forward thinking. Great. So yeah, I think a couple of things that I want to do. I'll give everyone a glimpse of the GWN Manager dashboard. It's very similar across the board. It looks exactly like the GWN Manager dashboard, as well as very similar to the Embedded Controller dashboard. So I'll just give you a glimpse of that if for those that have not seen it. And then afterwards, I'll give you guys an exciting sneak peek on what's to come on the networking side for Grandstream in the very, very near future. So if you look at my screen share, this is my personal dashboard. It just gives you a great overview of all of the different access points and networks that you're currently managing. I'm not managing a lot with this particular account, but I do manage multiple locations at the same time. Now, if you look on the left here, hopefully this is clear, on the networking tab, if you click on this tab, it gives you all of the different networks that you have created. In my particular case, I've created it based on location, such as I have here APAC LA. Mammoth is a ski resort that I typically go to visit in the winter. I'm managing a couple of access points for our marketing people, Phil and Rachel's access point at her home, because salespeople, right? And then a different location.
No, this is not done. This is below the belt.
I'm just kidding. You guys know I love you guys.
No.
Right?
Okay,
but from a service provider perspective, or even an MSP perspective, this can very easily be the different customers that you're providing your services for, right? For example, with Phil, I created his own GWN Cloud account, and when he logs in, I have it marked so that he only sees his particular network and not my other networks. So it makes it very easy to multi-tenant for your customers. That's one of the key points that we tried to keep in mind when we created the GWN.Cloud. But from here, you'll be able to manage every single aspect of your access points directly from this portal. So as soon as our access points boot up and they have internet connection in the instance of the GWN.Cloud, they'll reach out to GWN.Cloud, and the changes that you make on here are instantaneous. As soon as you hit save or apply within this portal, it instantly gets pushed out to your access point. And if you look at your access point, you'll see the LED blinks. That tells you that it's being updated. So it's a very, very powerful platform, but in true Grandstream fashion, we made it as simple as possible. If you look at the design, it looks very similar to the design of a UCM interface. So if you've been using the UCM for years and years, you'll be able to navigate through this interface very easily. A couple of things that we've built into this platform is the ability for you to really do a site survey within a site where you've installed the access point, so that you can make changes according to that environment. Currently, if you click on the Insight, we do have the ability for you to do an SSID scan. That's the first tool that we have available now. When you do this scan on a selected access point, it will show you all of the different wireless networks that the access point has detected. What this really allows you to do is it allows you to see what channels, for example, are congested so that you can change to a different channel if you would like. Of course, all of our access points have the ability to automatically select the channel. So that's a very powerful tool. But some of us that have been in the networking industry for a very, very long time have a very old habit. There's a saying that goes, if anything is auto, you auto not do it. So that's an old habit for us old timers in networking. So for me, I still have that habit of really not trusting the automatic anything. Although ours is nowadays it's very smart and it's able to do a lot of those. One question that I'll address right now, because I know someone's going to ask, is about heat maps. That heat mapping is probably one of the most important tools an installer has to use when they're going on site and trying to figure out the location of installation for access points. Right now, Grandstream doesn't have a heat mapping tool that is Grandstream branded. But the good thing about heat mapping tools is that it works with any other brand. It's not tied to a singular brand. So there's hundreds of free heat mapping tools available that you can use. However, and I bring this up because Grandstream is going to be making our own heat mapping tool, and it'll be available in the very near future. And we'll be able to implement this into the GWN.cloud also, so that you'll be able to just do both the signal scan and the heat mapping tool all in one. Make it easy and hopefully make the installation process simpler and more efficient for everyone.
One thing, Hugh, is this site survey there in the embedded controller as well?
It is, correct. Yeah.
That is important. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, it's for years people have been doing the site survey using their laptop or their iPhone or their mobile phone, which is great. But then it's probably, in my opinion, more efficient to see what the access point sees, not what your phone sees. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, those are just, this is just a very, very quick glance on the interface. The great thing is GWN.cloud is completely free. So everyone, if you haven't already, please feel free to visit www.gwn.cloud and sign up for a free account. And look through the interface, go through all of the different options that are available. I know we have also recently updated our GWN Academy series for the networking products. As everyone knows, that's our certification platform. We have 3 different levels of certification. The Grandstream Certified Specialist being the first level. This is a completely free course and it is completely online. It's a self-paced course that will give you all of the tools necessary to install and implement our GWN access points. If you visit academy.grandstream.com, you can sign up for the course completely free and self-paced. And hey, at the end of it, you get to take an exam and get an official certification as well. For the other level certifications, hopefully we'll be able to do those in India and the surrounding countries in the near future. Those are more in person, but hopefully we'll be able to do that again very soon. All right, so that's that. What I would like to do next is probably one of the more exciting things I like to do on webinars or road shows or presentations. And that's to give everyone a quick glimpse into Grandstream's product future in terms of GWNs and actually one UC product. So let me switch real quick to a different screen, and I have an upcoming roadmap for everyone. All right. So with, as the conversation all day today, as everyone can imagine, Grandstream has a very heavy focus on networking products going forward for a multitude of reasons. And the GWN product portfolio, everyone will see, will grow exponentially within the next 12 months. I have just a handful of products to show you today that will be available most likely by the end of this year. We have some more coming up later, but I'm only showing what's available or what's coming out by the end of this year, and it's going to be very, very exciting. So I'll start with the first one, is the access points. We have some new wireless access points coming out. As always, our portfolio is going to continue to grow. The first access point, which will be released probably next week, is our GWN 7624. This is an indoor hybrid access point, but it's also an in-wall access point. So the form factor is quite different from all of our other access points. This is designed to fit right over the faceplate of an Ethernet drop.
Hugh.
Yeah, sure.
Just wanted to add, because the sales angle comes in. So guys, 7624 has been already there. It's there in the stock. It has come to us. So you are open to release orders to your area. Over to you, Hugh.
Yeah. It's no, we've been shipping it to our partners already, but it's going to be officially announced next week as ready as a global release. But Cohesive has stock, so place your orders now.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you very much.
But yeah, this is to me one of my favorite releases in a while because of the form factor. It not only is it an in-wall access point, it's a full powered access point, and it has multiple Ethernet ports. It has 3 additional gigabit Ethernet ports, 2 of which have the capability to provide PoE output power. So it's almost like a PoE switch, almost. And so it's that gives it a lot of flexibility, and it gives it a very clean installation when you install it, on the faceplate. Of course, we have our 7662, which is a Wi-Fi 6 hybrid. This is our first hybrid access point on the Wi-Fi 6. All of our previous hybrid access points have been Wi-Fi 5, so it's a great addition to really fit in between the 7660 and the 7664 in terms of price point. So it gives a very affordable option for people to have a 4x4 Wi-Fi 6 access point. And Ashdhir mentioned it earlier, Wi-Fi 6E, this is the next big thing, I guess, when it comes down to Wi-Fi technology. And Grandstream has a couple of models that are planned to release by the end of the year. And for those that are not aware, the difference between Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 6, or actually one of the differences, is that Wi-Fi 6E now allows you to use the 6 gigahertz frequency. So now you'll have 3 frequencies, 2.4, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz. And this is a huge step because it gives you a new spectrum of radio waves that is completely clean, and it's also a bigger throughput. So very exciting technology. So look for more information on these coming out later this year. We have a 2x2 model and a 4x4 model coming out. And of course, Wi-Fi access points are very exciting, but Grandstream really wants to capitalize on not just the access point market, but also the whole enterprise networking market. So we'll be expanding our portfolio to include different classes of devices. The first one are our Wi-Fi routers. You guys have heard a lot of news about our 7052 and 7062. These are our 2x2 wireless integrated routers. These will be hopefully released by mid-September, I'm hoping. I do have them here in person. This is our GWN 7062. Great sleek looking form factor with the Ethernet ports in the back. There are 5 gigabit Ethernet ports, but 2 of them can be used as WAN ports. Of course, one of them is a dedicated WAN, but the other is a WAN/LAN port. So it can be used as either. You can configure it as a WAN or a LAN, and it gives you the ability to have redundancy in your connections in terms of the internet. But it's a great sleek form factor. This is something that I can imagine having on my kitchen countertop and not looking like a spaceship. We do have the Wi-Fi 5 version of the access point called the 7052. Now this is your more traditional form factor for a desktop access point with the external antennas. And the great purpose of this access point is it is a very, very affordable option. It has all of the great features of our GWN 7062, but being it's a Wi-Fi 5 and only a single WAN port. And the key selling point for these access points or these wireless routers is that it's not just a wireless router. We can all go to the market and buy a wireless router. You have 1,000 different options out there now.
Right.
But the key selling point is that these wireless routers are manageable via the Gwn Cloud. So through the same interface that you manage your access points, you'll be able to manage these wireless routers. That's a huge advantage because number one, there aren't too many wireless routers in the market that can do that. But just think of the possibilities, for especially if you're a service provider or you're an MSP. Everyone has a wireless router these days at home. But if you're able to manage the whole interface and the whole installation, it gives you a very compelling selling point for your services and the value that you bring to your customers. If you see on this list here, we do have on the 4th point the 7052F, which is the same cost-effective, competitive 7052 Wi-Fi 5 wireless router, but it has an SFP port. So this is very important for service providers, for internet service providers who do have, fiber to the home or fiber to the curb. Gives them a great way to have to deploy this type of router with their services without having an additional router in their home. So you're not dual netting. And of course, we do have, yep, sorry, go ahead.
Any plans of what we used to have GWN 7000, where we used to have a bigger embedded controller for 300 APs or 500 APs or 1000 APs? Because
yeah, I don't have it in this slide because it's coming up probably Q1 of 2023. I know a lot of people have been asking about the GWN 7000. Don't worry, we have all of you in our hearts. We have a whole new lineup of GWN wired routers coming out early next year. So it's not just one new router to replace the GWN 7000, but we have, I believe, about 6 different routers coming out early next year. I don't have it listed today because it's a little bit farther out, but it's already in the works.
That's fine. That's fine. Cool. Thank you.
Also in this slide, you'll see the 7064 and the 7054, which is basically the same as our 7052 and 7062, but just the Wi-Fi 6 models. So that's a new entry for us. First time that we have a Wi-Fi router on our portfolio. Now, I think Ashdhir can probably agree with me on this next slide, but this is probably one of the most exciting product lines in Grandstream's history, which are the new switches. We are finally releasing our new switches, Grandstream branded switches, PoE and non-PoE. We'll have up to 14 different switches coming out within the next 12 months. But this year, we'll start off the release with our Layer 2 Plus switches. We'll have 3 different models, the GWN 7801, 7802, and 7803, PoE and non-PoE versions. And very exciting because this really completes not just our GWN portfolio, but it completes the whole UC Grandstream solution portfolio. This is the last piece of the puzzle that has been missing for years. Everyone has been installing phones, PBXs, access points, cameras, but now we actually have something that brings everything together and provides power to them as well. With the same with the Wi-Fi routers. One of the key selling points, probably the most important in my opinion, again, is the ability to manage these switches via Gwn Cloud. It's a cloud managed switch, which is a very unique offering in the marketplace. There are less than a handful available. But again, with Grandstream being Grandstream, we're going to make it very competitive and very easy to manage and deploy. So this will be released this year, Layer 2 Plus.
Just one doubt. I think it's going to be too early. For an example, an IP phone is installed on the switch, and I'm managing the switch through Gwn Cloud, not through GDMS. Can I still reach to the IP phone?
You will not be able to configure and provision the IP phone. You would have to use GDMS for that. But, in the event that you're not able to say, for example, reboot the phone with GDMS, you'll be able to reboot that particular port that the phone
that particular port of the switch. Yeah.
Correct,
no, I was just thinking ahead that how can we club and get married GDMS and GWN?
Yeah, I think eventually our plan is to combine the two systems into a single interface. Eventually. So hopefully that'll happen within our lifetimes. Right. So so these are our Layer 2 Plus switches, and essentially what Layer 2 Plus means is, number one, it's a manageable switch, so you'll be able to configure different settings, QoS, port mirroring, etc. But that plus also means that it does have some routing capability, and Layer 2 Plus typically means that you're able to make static routing configurations. Later on, we'll be releasing our full Layer 3 switches, which brings in all of that routing capability into our switches and with higher capacities. So yeah, we're very excited about this particular release, and I believe it's going to actually happen this time.
It's very, very important, because in my house, if my daughter shouts a lot, so I actually go back and ask, what happened? Did Grandstream release switches? So it is very, very important and the right time to launch it. Are we releasing some 2.5 gig also? Do you have that in slide?
So in the slides, if you look at our access points now that are currently released, we have the GWN 7664 and the GWN 7664 LR. Those currently have a 2.5 gig port along with an additional gig port. So those are the two models that have it available on our wireless, our new wireless routers, the 7064 and the 7054. Those will also have the 2.54 gig ports.
Okay.
On our switches, we do have the SFP ports available, so you can have a 2.5 or a 10 gig SFP module that you can install.
So our switch supports up to 10 gig output on SFP, because
correct.
Okay, good,
Correct.
very good, very
Yeah.
good, extremely good. Okay, okay, go ahead.
All right. And the last, I guess, market segment that Grandstream is introducing or starting up is the fixed wireless access market segment. This is still a very, very popular market segment, a very complex market segment. But within this year, Grandstream will be introducing our first two models. The first one is the GWN 7700, which is a point-to-point multi-point base station, long-range base station with up to 20 kilometers of range.
Oh,
So very high-powered, long-range, fixed wireless access device. Of course, we'll pair that with a GWN 7703, which is a point-to-point subscriber access device. So for those that are not familiar, you would install a GWN 7700, which is the base station at your main location. And then at the remote locations, you'll install either a 7700 or a 7703 as a receiving device. So this is really meant for the long range installations. This is great because I will install one at my house and one on my boat, so I can go fishing all day long while I'm working, and I'll still have Wi-Fi internet access. So a very exciting.
There is another added advantage. At least the fishes will also start getting internet.
Yes, and they will start growing 3 eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's we have a lot more products on the GWN side that are coming out. In fact, in the next 12 months, we have a total of 29 new products. I've only given you a glimpse of some of the products that we have that are being released, hopefully by the end of this year, but we have a bunch more coming out. I know we spoke a lot about GWNs today, but I do want to take one slide to talk about at least one new UC product that we have coming out very soon. And
Thanks,
this is
God.
also
Thank you.
this is also a very exciting new product for us. This is a product that our partners and customers have been asking for many, many years, and we're finally releasing a hotel phone, or a series of hotel phones. Of course, cost is a key factor, but also the fact that you'll be able to manage these with GDMS is a huge selling point. We have different models for different areas of a typical hotel room. We have the GHP 61X series, and in this series, we have it in black and white. So you'll see the 610 as being black and the 611 as being white. But we also have Wi-Fi versions of these phones as well, 610W and 611W. These are the single handset type form factor, very customizable. These are made to be customizable because every hotel wants to have their name and their directory specifically customizable printed on there. So that the form factor, these typically, as you see throughout APAC, these are typically installed with inside the restroom area. Now for the desktop version, we have the GHP 620 and 621, again with the colors, and also the Wi-Fi versions of those phones. These will be launched very, very soon. And I'm very excited about this launch because our customers have been asking for these probably as long as they've been asking for the switches. So it's finally happening this year.
Yeah, very right. The hotel phones is one of the products I think is the entry point to enter a hospitality industry. Grandstream as a UC product, Hieu, we have started getting penetration in India now and neighboring countries where other competition was much stronger. That's the reality. And recently we backed a very big deal from Marriott India, and this is an upsell directly on it. And hotel phone is one segment where it will give us a cakewalk entry. And that is the reason initially our PBXs start selling, because our IP phone started entering it. So thanks a lot for these products. Actually, hotel phone was the need of the day along with the switches.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, hospitality is very big and growing, and
Yeah.
now you have a couple of tools, you know, to enter into that market. Like you said, it's a good entry. You can enter with these phones, or you can enter with the access points. You have two
Right.
different paths of entering
Right.
into the hospitality market, and you know, once you get in with one side, you can definitely bring those together, and the fact that everything is managed via the cloud will really be a compelling reason.
I think 7624 is the required for the hospitality, the in-wall embedded, because these guys does not want their ambience or form factor needs to actually merge with the room structure, and this in-wall kit has been made for that. It's a beautiful in for the hospitality segment. 7624.
Yeah, the 7624 combined with these hotel phones is really the complete package for a hotel installation. If you think about especially the older hotel rooms, the older hotels that are made out of thick concrete walls, you know, they'll typically require a small access point inside the hotel room, which the 7624 fits perfectly. The fact that the 7624 has two PoE output ports, you can use that to power one of each of these phones in the rooms. So one in the bathroom and one on the nightstand. So it's a perfect
Right.
bundled solution for a hotel environment.
Perfect.
All right. And so, yeah, that's, I believe that's the last new product that I have to show you that's coming up. Very excited about all of these products. And, you know, for everyone in attendance, definitely check with Ashdhir on stock availability. He always gets the first shipment. So he'll have them available as soon as they are released.
Don't tell me that you're not showing the video phones.
Yeah, the video phones I'm not showing today because we do have some very exciting news coming up on these video phones probably within the next couple of weeks. We are refreshing our video phone lineup. You know, currently we have the GXV 3350, 3370, and 3380. But these are being refreshed to the 3400 series, which is the GXV 3450, 3470, and 3480. You know, it's a hardware refresh, so you have brand new, current, state-of-the-art hardware running Android 11 compared to Android 7. But we did make one major change, and that is on the 7-inch model. We changed the form factor so that the screen is vertical instead of horizontal. But you'll see some new news on these video phones, not just on the release of the video phones, but possibly some new certifications that will be relevant for your market in the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Perfect.
All right. So I believe, I believe there's an exciting event coming up in about less than 2 weeks in Mumbai, right?
Yeah, I think Ashrit is the one who's taking care on that. Is Ashrit there with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Ashdhir.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Ashrit, do you want to talk about? Yeah, that's here it comes.
Okay. So yeah, guys, this is Infocom India. It is happening in Mumbai from 5th to 7th September. So Cohesive Technology is going to be setting up a stall there. That's a great opportunity to meet Ashdhir in person. You saw how good he is virtually. Just imagine how good it'll be meeting him in person. They'll be having all our latest products on display, and a lot of his team members will be there as well. So please do visit their stall if you're based out of Mumbai. Yeah, Ashley, anything to add?
Yeah, the booth number, I don't know why it is not being displayed here, is D for Delhi, Denmark, 65. Okay, and the event is on 5th to 7th September 2022, which is in next week, some few days. And let me also give you a good news that all the product map, what Hugh spoke about, and the one he didn't, the last one. So we hopefully we will show you some good, decent form factor video phones, hotel phones, routers, which Hugh showed us virtually on the IP video talk, along with the all existing product, including the new facility management product, which is coming is 3712, if I'm not wrong, Hugh. 3712, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that devices are therein, and please come in to D65 Infocom. It's an event after 2 years happening, and you will find the total portfolio, including telecom, AV, facility management, networking, everything what Grandstream does. So that's it from my side. Over to you, Ashrit and Hugh. Thank you.
Great. Yes, everyone. That show is going to be amazing. At this time, we do have quite a few questions in the Q&A, and I've been looking through them. Fortunately, Ashdhir, you've done a great job. We've done a great job. We've actually answered most of these questions from just our conversation. So that's great. But I do have a couple that I think is very interesting that we can talk about. And this is from Gurvinder. He asks, I'll read the question out, and then we'll make some comments. He says, as Wi-Fi technology is transforming in a very fast pace on technological front, we were waiting for Wi-Fi 6. Now Wi-Fi 6E is in the market. Moreover, the IEEE is testing Wi-Fi 7 with 40 gigabits per second data transmission capabilities. Do we expect that Grandstream will come up with a family system to carry forward the legacy products with new launch? I think that's a great question. And it's technology moves very fast. Wi-Fi 7 is being tested by the IEEE now, and Wi-Fi 6E is not officially ratified yet, but you are starting to see some consumer devices available with Wi-Fi 6E. As you can see on the roadmap, Grandstream is also planning to release Wi-Fi 6E access points by the end of the year. And typically, I think what's most important is when you're looking on the enterprise side or the small business side. Typically, the buying patterns are that the enterprise and SMB side, they typically don't adapt to new technologies right away. And a great example of this is on these new Wi-Fi 6E, or even starting all the way back to Wi-Fi 4. Every time a new Wi-Fi version comes out, which routers are the first ones to be released with that technology? Those are just the gamers, people that play a lot of video games. Those are the first type of routers that are released. Same with the 6E. You go out to the market today and try to buy a 6E router. Well, not today, but when it was first introduced, those are all gaming routers, the ones with 8 or 16 antennas sticking out that looks like it came from outer space. And that's typically the pattern. The consumer front will adapt the technology first, followed by the enterprise and the SMB side, because the enterprise and SMB side value stability over newer technology, and the fact that typically newer technology on the Wi-Fi side also requires that your client device support it. So there's no point in upgrading to Wi-Fi 6E if you have no Wi-Fi 6E laptops or phones. There's no benefit. Well, there are some benefits, but you're not utilizing the full benefit of the technology. And so Grandstream, as you can see on our roadmap, has plans to release 6E. And when Wi-Fi 7 is ready, we'll also have plans to release those as the chipsets become available. I hope that answered your question, Gurvinder. All right. So that was a very good question, I think. I think another important question I would like to address is from Wimal. He or she asked, I would like to know Grandstream Wi-Fi products market penetration. And I'll try to answer this the best I can, because we don't have the statistics yet on how much market share we own in terms of Wi-Fi access point. But I can tell you that we are growing exponentially, not just in India, but globally. And I think it's going to continue that way, at least for the next 4 to 6 months. And the number one reason for that is, Ashdhir mentioned it earlier, we have all of these great features. We have all of these great USPs. We have a 3-year warranty, which is amazing. But we're actually one of the very few vendors on the market today that have, I guess, in simple terms, stock availability. We have a very healthy level of stock on our access points, and we're able to fulfill your orders now, not 4 to 6 months later, but now. And so we're in a very unique position to really gain market share.
Perfect.
Anything you would like to add to that particular question, Ashdhir?
Yeah, see, there's nothing what you said is perfectly fine, but the percentage of exponential increase in the market is not 2-figure, it's 3-figure actually. We are growing 300% up and up on the networking, and believe me, I had taken that feel in India. I still remember now when we used to buy 100 phones, we used to buy 5 Wi-Fi access points for the inventory, and today everything has come in parallel. And we are doing extremely good in both domains, and we are not keeping it in our house, so it means it's getting sold. So if it is getting sold, the demand is actually exponential increased. And as rightly said by Hieu, a perfect inventory is one of the key ingredient to it. I think that is the best way of replying on that. Anything else? Hieu, will you like to answer on any questions which is left, or we can reply it?
Yeah, let me just end it with one technical question, because I just wanted to get one in, and it's a good one, because it's a very important feature. We mentioned earlier, Ashdhir, you mentioned earlier that a lot of our competition in terms of Wi-Fi, they have dual gigabit Ethernet ports on their access points, and on our 7664 and 7664 LR, we actually have a 2.5 gig and a 1 gig port. So it's a great benefit there. And so Amit asked, can we do port aggregation on these models? And the answer is yes. We support port aggregation, so you can combine those two ports to increase the overall throughput of the overall wire throughput of the access point. That's available now. The firmware was actually just released a couple weeks ago. So if you update to the new firmware, you will see the ability to do link aggregation on these access points.
Perfect. There is another one sales side angle. So I don't know if you have that answer or not. People are asking, the PoE switches what we're going to release is also going to be a 1-year warranty or a 3-year warranty, as we have other GWN?
All GWNs going forward are 3-year warranty.
Oh, perfect.
So as long as it has the GWN in its name, it's going to be a 3-year warranty.
Perfect. So I think if we have any other questions, Ashrit, you can discuss with Hieu and we can reply to everyone on the email.
Yep. So have you guys answered all the questions? Q&A done?
Yeah, I think we're good for today. I'll address additional questions, via email afterwards.
Okay. Sounds good. I think with that, we can wrap it up then. Thank you so much, Hieu and Ashdhir. That was great. And thank you everybody for joining the webinar. So as I said in the chat box, I will be sharing a recording of this entire webinar on Monday. And along with sharing a recording of the webinar, I'll also send out an email putting in Ashdhir's stall number for the event in Mumbai. So, and I've also dropped in my email at the chat. If anybody has any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out. And if I don't have the ability to answer it, I'll direct you the right way to someone else. And yeah, with that, we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining. And we hope to see you in another Grandstream webinar very soon.
Thank you,
care,
friends.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashrit. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Oh, and also not to forget the lucky draw for whoever asked a question. We will be in touch with who the winner is very soon. Okay. Good stuff, Hugh. Good stuff, Ashdhir.
It's always a pleasure to work with Ashdhir on anything.
Oh yeah.
Can't believe
I think this is the longest
after
one
all
we've
these
had.
years. Yeah, after all these years of knowing Ashdhir, it's still always fun to work together.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Cool. I think people are still on because we're still here, Hugh. I think we'll sign off. We're all set.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Ashraf.
All right, Hugh. Thanks a lot. Catch you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.